I am sure sports. You know me there, I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over your son.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Tricknick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices, add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Tricknick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am your host, Manningsman. Hope everybody doing well. Hope everybody is doing F-I-N-E, fine. It is a blessed day. It is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, great is our God, and He's greatly to be praised. You understand me? Every day we have life. We give thanks, because it's not guaranteed. When we consider all the atrocities in the world and all that people go through on a daily basis, we who are alive have a reason to give thanks. We may not have all things that we need and all things that we want, but we live to fight another day. Some people checked out and some people were taken out, right? Some violently, some because of sicknesses, but we are here. And we are so grateful. All right. I hope one of the things you did today is that when you got up and you saw your loved ones, you prayed for them and you at least shared with them how much you love them and you care for them and about them, right? You don't know if you'll see them in the evening. So in the morning when you see them, tell them you love them and find something good that you can say to them and about them. If we begin to put these things in constant practice, guess what? We can tell you something. You don't just know this, that just life will be a whole lot better indeed. All right. Yeah. Looking forward to this show today. Want to big up all the persons who are on the platform early. I see. What's the Trinidad squad? What a question being asked of me. David Palmer asking me. I need someone from Trinidad to tell me that David Palmer. Jeremy Lee was up and early. I think he was the first person on. And as usual, Chorus is here. Jason, bless up yourself. DJ Dean Brown in the house. Yeah. Paul Watkins is here. Man from St. Annie says, Conrad Simit, Richie Robinson, a.k.a. Baller Car, Joel Simith. George Preston says, bless up and float management, ever flowing. All right. Yeah, you see what I say? But lots of things that we have to cover. You understand me? Yep. Lots of things we have. Young Cryptic, long time I don't see the man, you know. Long time. But hope everybody doing well. Again, as usual, once you come onto the platform, we ask you to do just a couple of quick things for us, please and thanks. What are these things? Hit the like button, bam. Share, bam. And subscribe. Yes, so hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Have you done that? And remember, if you have something going on, you know, and you want management to highlight it on I Am Sure Sports, it is not a problem. You understand me? We are good to the people who are good to us. You understand? So it is not a problem. You just let me know, and I will do it for you to give some, you know, promotion to your event or your activity. Yeah. So you can let us know, man, and we are here to support you in any way we can. Yep. Bless indeed. Yeah, man. This is going to be a good show. DAJ. You know that there's a DJ called DAJ, but you know, him sound like an assassin, you know. Are you? Him sound like assassin, but he's a gospel artist, you know. DAJ. Him bad. Actually, we can't play some of them songs upon the YouTube thing, you know. Me I tell you, you know. Check it out, DAJ. Him sound like assassin. He's a gospel artist. Him bad. Man have some lyrics. Him man spit lyrics like what is other youth? Prince Saj. Yeah, man, him sound like Prince Saj. Me I tell her that. Mannings youth. Yo. So many Mannings, man, and the next person named Mannings youth. This Mannings thing I get serious, you know. Big up yourself. Hey, watch this now. Me need to hear from. Me need somebody for name Mannings girl. Cause deeper man business now go work. We need a Mannings girl in the building. We need a Mannings girl in the building. We need a Mannings girl in the building. Whoa. Mannings man. Mannings youth. Mannings womanings. You understand me? Where is Track Diamond? Track Diamond. Come and blow up the place with your beautiful man himself, you know. Track Diamond, man. Where Track Diamond there? Track Diamond. Yeah, man. Forward into the place. You understand me? But blessed love, people. Today we're going to talk about some JPL news and things. I was at a good game on Sunday, Mount Pleasant versus Arnett Gardens, as Mount Pleasant continued their winning ways. You know, they defeated Arnett Gardens by 2-0. Arnett Gardens never created a lot, I think, except having some issues on the left side of their defense. I think Mount Pleasant played very well in midfield and just going forward. Devontae Campbell was an issue, and then Franco, the Haitian that came on, gave Arnett a lot of problems. Kimani Orborn didn't have his best game, I believe, and Fabian Reed still recovering came on. They were without Warner Brown, but I think it was a good game. I also thought the games last night were very good. Mullines lost the game, but I think on a better surface. I think the Arnett Garden surface, because of its constant use, is a little bit bumpy, so the ball isn't able to flow and roll and move freely. I think Mullines on a track like that would do very, very well. Mobile United also look well, especially in midfield. The interchanging of their players was really, really good. They won their game 2-0. That's Mobile United. One of those teams that are just changing stuff. You thought Mount Pleasant was changing stuff. Mobile United has come on board, new management, new ownership in place, and lots of money is being spent, and you can see that they have propelled to second in the league. They have looked very good, and they look like they are going to be one of the challengers at the end of the season. Chanel Thomas had a very good game yesterday. I think he was the man of the match or last night. And Markovich Brown, I think Markovich Brown this season in the games that he has played, he has been out for 2 months. He is a captain for Racing. And Racing really missed him. But you saw his quality last night. Very good defender. Originally, I think when he played schoolboy football, he was a center forward. He went overseas to college, and he's back in Jamaica playing center back. It's one for the, I don't know his age. I think he's around 25. Very intelligent center back. All right. And I've been talking about him for a while. I believe this season, he has been, one of the better center backs that has been in the league. The Richard Kings are there, and I think the Mount Pleasant center back, you may not like them, but they have been very good as well at Mount Pleasant. Very good. Incidentally, I will say this, with the changes at Tivoli, even Barrington Price, who is an older, mature player, has been using a lot of experience, playing well at center back. Tremingham, I think the Trini down in Montego Bay, he has been playing well as well. And Mullines just signed a young player from Cavaliers who wasn't getting enough. I think he's on loan, getting enough playing time. He has been playing well. His name is Thompson, Quayne Thompson. Very good in the center back at Mullines. So there are a couple of them. Stephen Young continues to do his thing out there in Portmore. And you can tell by just the position of the teams that possibly some of the better players are at these clubs and doing well. Phoenix, they lost again. Martin Davis, who was a former Phoenix player, was one of the goal scorers there. And I think they need to get it together very soon. I know in that game, Carlton Brown was substituted in the first half. And I don't know, I think Veer need to, because Wooling, who I think Unseen and a couple of others were telling me that he was the top CDM in the league. He plays severe, and he was on the bench, surprisingly, and he has been one of their better players this season. So I think something needs to happen there. But I have a man who follows Veer. I'm hope that he's here today. He's also an artist, right? And I'd love for him to come on, tell us what he believes. And so at the 30-minute mark, boss, me not call out any name, but you have a big song out there. You understand? You need to call in after 30 minutes. Tell us your observation, because you are always at the Veer game doing videos and clips. Call us and tell us, and then talk to us about the big song that you have out there. You understand me? It's not Ray, it's not Nephew. It is just water. All right, big up. You're right, Planeta. Irks, reverse. Veer is trying to change gear. All right, so lots coming up in terms of football for Jamaica. Friendlies, you have a U17 qualifier on the male side. You have under 20 girls who will be engaged. You have under 17 players that will be engaged. You have new surfacing of players seeking to represent Jamaica and putting things in place. So there is a lot of things happening in the football world right now where Jamaica is concerned, especially in the JPL and rumors. Now, there's a couple of things I want to speak to, and I want you to give me some time. I want you to give me some time to kind of share this, and then you can give me opinion. Now, I know how these things are. We will not all agree. There will be some level of disagreement, and that's fine, as long as we can have civil conversation and in a respectful way. If everyone agrees with me, then something is wrong with me and not with all the people agreeing with me. We can't agree on all things. All right. So one, I am not like the union head of the YouTube space in terms of Jamaicans who have come on and have been doing a lot of YouTube content where sports or football in particular in Jamaica. I'm just one of many who do it, and everyone has a right to do and operate on their platform how they believe is best for their platform. We all cannot operate the same way because people will not listen. If everyone sounded like me, share the information like me, then so many people would not be online. I benefit from people who view other people's content, and because it is different. And so I expect us to be differently common. Makes sense. All right. So with that being said, I have not done a lot of JPL content in terms of interviews and those things because other people and I feel like everybody's putting out the same content, and I had started it and I said, seeing that there are like 10 persons on a Sunday doing the same thing, let it be. All right. That's just me. That's just how I am as a person. I don't ever want to be viewed as any crab in any barrel. Just find your space, find a niche, and you stick to that and be flexible enough to change and to adapt to different and changing things. Cool. So, but I spoke to a YouTuber. Both of us were on the platform last week talking about a video that was done about a player. I wish Madman that's talk about Liverpool for Champions League. I wish hold on there. All right. I'm coming for the Champions League. I will be back. I will be back. I'll be back. Reach back right there. All right. So, so recently I engaged, one of the persons on YouTube, someone that I know, I've spoken to, I've done some stuff with him, and he has helped me and I have helped him because that is how the space is. Almost every person I know engage on YouTube this way have been helped by a next YouTuber in this space. Everybody has somehow contributed to the betterment or improvement of the other content creator. Cool. So we have, and there is no animosity, there is no issue. However, very important, as I get to this point, he did a video about some player from a particular club in a garrison community. All right. Now, I, subsequent to the video, engaged people, and I know the person could have verified the information and spoken to at least one of the individual or persons connected to the individual before doing the video to verify the video. So that was not done. The video was put out and it caused problem. So I'm going to help you. I'm just going to give a perspective that I think some of us don't consider. Or we do, or we need to look into it. When we do, first thing, do not compare the rumors that you see in European football and those major leagues in the Jamaican context. One, Europe is big and wide. It includes rumors from every country almost in top league, who play in the top leagues in Europe, and you see these rumors. You'll see players from Inter being linked to clubs in England, players from England being linked, some of it rumors, some of it just people trying to, which is a common thing. But those spaces are different because oftentimes when those rumors come up, there's a couple of things. One, the players that they're speaking of don't live in the community where the team is from, and even if it is so, it's not places that are prone to violent conduct towards players. Like you don't have an area leader or a don in the community that will beat a youth or will threaten a youth or will threaten his family depending on the decision that he makes or the rumor that is out there. So we should never compare us sharing stories with what happens in Europe. We cannot, on one hand, be saying to people, don't compare the players to the players in England because it's a different level. And then when we do content, we want to compare it with what happens in Europe. We ought not to. Maybe one day our league will get there. One day our country will be more civil in terms of how we operate. And therefore, we can share information about players and it don't affect them. All right? So if you know Jamaica, many players in the Garrison community don't play in those communities because they understand the pressure that comes, and when they don't perform in some of these communities, what can happen? It is not as prevalent now as it was like 20 years ago, but there are still little itsy bitsy pieces of it still left. There's residues of it left in the community. So with this particular player, I want you to listen to me. When this story got out, it created problems to the point where the player did not start on Sunday. I find it strange that the person gets this information, never verified it, and sometimes we have to be wise because what I also know, this is the next angle, that people will use media, journalists to carry out their agenda. And you unknowingly don't know what you're doing when you put out a story could be really enhancing somebody's evil agenda or agenda for chaos and confusion. We have to be wise and seek to verify the information we get. So the player was approached by people in his community. This is just last week. This happened, you know. This is a real story, you know. In fact, the player actually spoke to an ex-member of the YouTube family and said, listen, and I'm hoping that one day the player can share the story, and I'd prefer it to be done when the window is closed, to share the story of how, when you put out a story about them, that is not so, how it affects how they operate in the Garrison community that they live. If that player goes and misses a goal, especially if they are going to play against a team that they are linked with. So you, for example, says, Manning's man will be leaving Veer to go and represent Humble Lion. All right, Manning's man is leaving Humble Lion to go and represent Veer. Humble Lion and Veer is playing. Manning's man gets a ball and tries his best and misses it. He misses the goal. You know what the people in Effortville is going to do or could possibly do? Because I live in the community, just miles away from the field, all kind of abuse could take place. So we must be wise. While you don't control how people operate, we can create the kind of emotions in people that evoke the wrong actions. We have to be wiser, my brothers. We have to be wiser. I understand the need to break information. I understand that. But it is important. While you should not reveal your sources, you should also verify your sources. Even Manning's man can get things wrong. Now, the other scenario is, say the player somehow end up moving, they're going to look back at when your story came up, and say, it could have been, watch this, because of that, why you played the way you played in the game against a team that you moved to. We have to be careful. Jamaica is not Europe, boss. We cannot treat transfers in Jamaica the way we see it in Europe. None of us are Fabrizio Romano, or Talk Sport, or Caught Offside and those things, or the Daily Press, or any of those things. We should not try to put ourselves in that category. We are just beginning, we are starting. None of us are AFTV, or United Stand, and no, we are not there yet. We don't cover environment like that. We operate in a highly toxic environment where majority of our players come from inner city communities. And there's a reason why many of them don't want to play in those communities, because of how they are treated and viewed by the community. So we have to be careful. Remember, there was a story about a youngster earlier in the window who was supposed to go away, and people had, for college, and people had his name that he's being transferred like a professional that could have jeopardized the youth scholarship. We cannot do those things, because we know that many youths in Jamaica cannot afford to complete college education without scholarships. But we have to talk the stories, but verify the sources. And when we can, contact the people, do so. It means clubs, you must become more open to the people. Because when you do good, they speak about it. So be more open and have dialogue with them, so they can call and talk to you and say, listen, this is what I heard. I don't know if it is true. And you hear from them. You understand me? So clubs, all of you clubs need to have a PR person, or a person that is over, especially doing the windows, so that people know, if you want to verify something, call this person. So the player was benched on Sunday. So there was a next story that came up less than 24 hours ago. I have so many comments. Big up, AQ. It says, so you're saying the ignorance and the toxic environment of the country is what the problem is, in addition to the lack of professionalism, or even knowing what is to be professional amongst the media. Yeah, because AQ, you know this. You know that when you live in certain community, if you're going to move to the rival club, if that comes up, and you're playing against the club and you miss a goal, and then the man them here and you still live in the community. We know how Jamaica is in certain community. We know it. You can imagine that, hypothetically speaking, say a man is at Tivoli planning to go and play for transfer to Waterhouse. And something like that should happen. Tivoli and Waterhouse have a game, and the man miss a goal or he score a own goal, and him still live in Tivoli, and use it come out say him a plan to go Waterhouse. We have to be careful. This is not England, this is not Italy, this is not Spain. We're still operating in Jamaica. And we must take the safety and well-being of people and their families when we are doing things. We also must look at the player. And like I said, there are situations where getting verification is not difficult. It's not difficult. So let's verify the information. Well, and it doesn't mean that you won't get things wrong, I've gotten things wrong. But when we get it wrong, as soon as we know that, we must come out and say, listen, people, that story, or we take down the video. Take down the video. If you know in your hearts of hearts that the video, take it down. Take it down. Or do a video clearing it up. Less than 24 hours ago, a next player, information was leaked. The player has an agency in Jamaica, So if you hear something, you could speak to the agency that represent the player, because the agency, I think it's Phoenix sports agency, PSA. So if you hear that a player from Phoenix is being transferred, Phoenix, talk to, Craig Butler. Go on Instagram. We also know the players. Most of the players in the JPL are in Jamaica. If you reach out to them and ask them these things, they will respond. Talk to them. So, news has now surfaced that the video, because this player is based on information out there, is supposed to be heading overseas to discuss the opportunity of signing with a club. Somebody has put out information that the player is already signed to a club in Jamaica. Now, when that player comes or goes to Europe, if they are aware of this, here's a couple of things. The player is put in a bind because that club in Europe says, so listen, you're a joker, we don't want to talk to you anymore. You have no ethics. Your people have no ethics. So the player is stuck in Jamaica. To whose benefit? How does that benefit the player? And I'm not saying that the player, hey, I would love to see the player at the club. But at the end of the day, we must want what is best for the player. I'd love to see the player there. I am telling you. And if I could facilitate it, I'd help to facilitate it. But of course, money has to be right, conditions have to be right, and opportunities has to be right. All I'm saying is that even if you hear the story, try and verify it, because it could compromise a youth position or situation. And like Simon is saying, saying because someone is linked doesn't mean he has signed for the club. Because someone is going on trial doesn't mean that someone has signed for the club. Let us all pay attention to details. A person could also be, could also be just having a meeting. Yeah, but listen, you know what mindset. Listen, remember, I am not saying that people are not pleased. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I am not here advocating that people are not supposed to speak, people are not supposed to share. I would know. All I'm saying is that in cases where you can verify the information, verify it from your sources. Even if it is Manningsman, who is very credible, I can also be wrong. Because every source get them information from another source. It's all hearsay. So just verify it. I have been in that position where people have shared information with me. And I've shared it. And then I realized it was wrong. You know what I started doing? Is anything I hear, I wait. Because I don't have to be I don't want to be like Dre Anyweather, the breaking news boss. Big up yourself. I don't want to be the breaking news boss unless it is actually so. Big up yourself, Dre Anyweather Sports. Coming back to YouTube after the TikTok ban. Bless up yourself. All right? That's very important. No, I don't know how this thing is going to work out. My prayer and my hope is that it doesn't affect the player negotiations or dealings. Like I said, but if as you know, I will say it. Right now, the team I support in the JPL is Mount Pleasant. I think they are superb. I think they are fantastic. I think their addition to this league, I think what Mr. Peter Gould has done and the Mount Pleasant family is why Mobile United is where they are right now. And I believe that next year, we're going to have a next club who's going to step up like those two. And the following year. And so we'll have owners who are willing to spend. I think it is good for the football. I support Mount Pleasant. And I would love for Mount Pleasant to be able to break the bank to pay this player what they will be getting in Europe. They have access to their family and they play for Mount Pleasant. But at the end of the day, we need to verify before we present that information. Because it can be harmful to the parties. I would say that. What if somebody What if somebody, listen to me, what if somebody wants to, because this happened to me a few transfer windows ago, where a person would share information with me about transfers. They were from a club, and what they wanted me to do is to share the information to put pressure on the club to release the person, or to cause unrest in the club, or to cause unrest between the player and the coaching staff. And I had to be wise and say, no, something about this doesn't feel good. Okay, mindset. Get you. Yeah, true. That is it sometimes. And sometimes they have all good intentions. It just don't, I don't know. It just pays to verify. Eventually, though, each JPL club should appoint a media representative. That way we have clarity, more accurate information, and it aids the development of the league. Totally understand, Simon. I think every club should have a media officer. Somebody that the people can call and talk to and find out stuff and verify stuff. I think so. I pay the people them some money. Yeah. Maybe some of the YouTubers who are eloquent and have the time to do it. Yeah, right. Ricardo Badger is saying the worst thing, sir, Mannings. A lot of these breaking news, rumors, videos get all 500 views, which is not even $1. I don't understand some of these YouTube channels. All right, but I'm not here to bash. Please, I'm not here to bash YouTube channels. Because they do a good work. I think a lot of the YouTubers, I'd say most of them, or I'd say all of them, has added value to the growth of the league in terms of visibility and knowing the players and where they are at. So I have to give them credit. So I'm not here to bash them. I'm saying that to step up the game and become more professional and understand context and culture in the presentation of information. You understand me? I also, listen, you see, I have a change backdrop. All right, coming soon, you'll see a name change. It will be Manning's I Am Sure Media, because we're going to cover, we have some big stuff that we're going to do in terms of people from different sectors coming on to speak. And I want to big up, I'm not ready to call his name yet, but he has helped me to redesign the background and thing. So tell me if you like it, tell me if you're feeling it. You understand? Let me remove myself and tell me what you think. You see it? Tell me what you think. Yeah. Management coaches are required to have license to coach. Is this happening because some are functioning as journalists without the required qualification, training, and our exposure? What is the solution? Very good point, Very good point. Very good point. Like, I think, this is a very good point. Maybe what the JPL can do is to, at the beginning of the season, like they have somebody from mainstream media, I don't know, or from overseas, to do a seminar for the persons who are going to provide content for the league to come and train. And then based on that training, it's not like you have to pass it or anything, but based on that training, you say, yeah, man, this person can provide content because they did the training. And it is, I don't know if you want to call it journalism or media 101, where you give them some basic stuff to do, how to verify, how to, you understand me, how to deal with information that you receive that may not be accurate and you already put it out, just stuff like that. And I think the YouTubers out there and other persons in media, because this is not just a media workshop. Yes, Simon. This is not just a YouTuber thing, because there's a station in Jamaica or a couple that, Lord of mercy, them can put out some wrong information sometimes. So all of us needs a little growth and trading in this area. But you can tell me how you feel. You can call me and let me give me your idea. I also want to say something because all of you know, all right. I just want to say big up to Easy Grooves. Easy Groove is back in she had a long injury. All right. She has signed for at Huon Town AFC in Ireland, right? And so she have her first training session today, 7:30 p.m. Big up Easy Groove coming back from long-term injury. Remember, we saw her during that period when the players were out. All right. And she has done well to come back. So check her out. I mean, there's also Lance Whitaker. You know, there are people, there's Patrick Anderson, there's Dean Jackson Miller, but there are some key people in the industry that can help. You understand me? Even George Davis, those guys are good people. You understand me? And there are people overseas as well. You understand me? Who can help with that? But I think some sort of training and let them, they register. And it can even be on Zoom or something like that. Even a webinar on our YouTube stuff for people to just engage and see what is happening. Yeah. All right. All right. So also, recently I saw something with this again has to do with transfer with a player from I think Guyana. That there is some, and people, I don't do a lot of content where I mention Phoenix unless it is Veer Phoenix in the league or Mr. Craig Butler or his family or his players. I try to avoid it because I don't think we see eye to eye, and I don't want to be disrespectful, and I don't like to be disrespected. All right, but at the end of the day, I consider myself a part of the media landscape, and I feel at liberty to speak to this matter. And any matter I feel like I need to speak about, if it makes sense, I will speak about it. All right. So I saw this thing with the player from Guyana. I will not go through because I've only seen one side of a statement that I must say could be completely true, could be partially true, or could be a total lie. Because I don't have two statements to match up and two things kind of going through the sequence of event to bring balance, I don't want to speak to the article. But here's what I will say. If a player spends time at a club, the club has a right to demand money for the player. If the club said the player is valued $1 million based on what they have spent, you cannot tell them that they cannot ask for that. So perfect example, I run a club. All right. I had a player that was at the club. I mean, I've had some different persons doing it because I have walked away from the leadership of it because I always speak about conflict of interest. And so I've given it over, but I'm still like the owner. I don't even know what is happening with it because I'm not there, it has suffered, which is something that I'm going to talk about, because a lot of people are saying that if you're involved in the football in terms of doing anything with the JFF, you're not supposed to be involved in any clubs. And so now my club has suffered because of my engagement. All right. So now I have to make a decision if I'm going to make it die and become nothing, or I need to leave what I'm doing so I can focus on helping young people in my club, because that is what it is about. Anyway, so it hasn't been doing well. So, from time to time, they will bring in players to plug gaps. Prairie Football Academy. So we are in the, we were in the Super League and in we won Division 1, we're in Major League in Center. Yeah. So long story, a lot of players have come up, players have played for the national team through the program. Several of our players have represented Mount Pleasant, and we have other players playing in the Premier League right now that were part of our club. We have a player at Racing, we have a player at Mullines, we have players at Harborview, we have had players all over. from the club over the years who have come through, passed through. We have had a female player who have played for Jamaica as well, who was a part of the club. All right. So sadly, I can't do it because to be in it and be in the national program, I didn't want people to think like, okay, oh, you see it? This under 17 you would get called on it because. So I avoided it. All right. So the people are doing it, they would have different players coming at a time. Someday they would get on free. And so when they are leaving the club, they want to leave free because they are saying they came to the club and no transfer fee was paid for them. But while they're at the club, the persons who run it would give them like a little stipend because they can't pay them full salaries, but they will give them stipend and buy boots and those things for them. And, all right. So they're saying that if they're leaving because they come for free, they need to leave for free. You didn't pay any transfer fee for me. So no ask any transfer fee for me. And people forget that if you're at a place and people are providing for you, that is monies as well. So there are times when you will say, okay, let him go on for free because you may not want the player there, or you don't think that you've spent enough on the player to really demand back a transfer fee. Today, I was called by an ex-club, and they called about a player that I had from like high school, man, almost many years, gone through trials and tribulation to bring this player to a healthy place from I don't want to get in some of this stuff, helping to educate, help him to become employable, getting all kind of things, helping with documentation. Now the player wants to leave the club, but people don't want to pay any transfer fee. Football don't work like that. And you cannot tell me the value of my player. I tell you the value, and you determine if you can pay it or not. So while Mr. Craig Butler and I don't see eye to eye on many things, on this matter, I must agree with him. If you collect a man money, and the man saying want money for you, you have to pay the transfer fee, boss. That's how business run. You cannot be at a club and getting boots and food and money, anything at all, whether it's short, it long, it medium, it in part, it full. Once you are getting money and you're using it, the club can demand a fee for you. Even if they never paid any money for you in the beginning. That is the rule. When players come through the academies, you think Emil Smith-Rowe could have said to the Arsenal people, when I came here at Arsenal, you did not pay any fee for me. I came here as a youngster and I want to leave. Let me go for free. No. They talk about all of the years and they charge a fee. Not because Jorginho came to Arsenal on a free transfer. Mean that he's supposed to leave on a free. Arsenal can decide to sell him and somebody have to pay him money. That's how football is. So I do not disagree with Mr. Craig Butler and Phoenix are there asking for money for the transfer of players, even if they never play one game. So here's the thing now. When I come to your club and you say your player is X amount, if I don't want to play, don't release your player. Don't release your player. Simple. This has peso. This has nothing to do with credibility, boss, because you're going to say the same thing about me. I am not talking about a man's credibility. Here is the point I'm making. Here's the point I'm making. If I have a player at my club, and you want the player, you can't tell me that the player must come to you free and I mustn't charge. You cannot tell me that. It has nothing to do with credibility. It has to do with business. When you have the player, it's up to you. And if you decide that I have to pay X amount, I cannot take the player without you paying. And if that happens, the powers that be need to get involved. Leader. I would advise you, leader. Anytime you hear arguments, leader, a about credibility in a leader and how people operate in a leader, better you go under the bed in a leader. Because leader, I don't want to, because I respect your position. Leave it alone. Please and thanks. Light a candle, sing a song, and go lay down and sleep. Right. You don't get to leave a club for free. So what my friend from Trinidad, behind the scenes. Boss, we're gonna change your name. Why you fooling the people about before the game? Your name behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. I think we need to determine the market value of players. What determines the market value? Because many of the players that there's a gentleman in Jamaica, his name is Paul Maxwell, right? Paul Maxwell has been instrumental in many players moving to Mount Pleasant. And what Mount Pleasant pay is way above the market value of the players that leader was negotiating with them for. Was that right? Was that ethical? Did I say leader or did I say Paul Maxwell? Leave this alone. You still need to come and speak to me about how Jawa Bailey did not get an opportunity to be at the TDS program. But he's now at Cavaliers, recruited by you to be a part of their elite under-17 team. But he couldn't. He was too slow to go on the TDS trial to be seen. Until you can answer that, go under your bed. Business is business. Leave it at that. Craig Butler is running a business. No, I don't agree with a lot of the things that he does and how he does them. But the man run a business. He might run a business. And before you go and engage a business person, you do your investigation. And if you see red flags, you don't engage them in business. So, for example, there's a master scout, a master agent in Jamaica called Maxwell, Paul Maxwell. So if, for example, I have a son, given what I've seen, I'd have to have serious consideration about making him like over a footballer that I know. But he does good in his work. And a lot of people give him credit for what he's able to do. But there are several times he comes and does things that people disagree with. So all of us have that. So I think the situation with the Guyanese player, a player living in Jamaica, obviously the player must be living somewhere. The player would have been living somewhere, Who was paying his accommodation? How was he eating? No, what we can say is that what you're asking for is not the value of the player. So don't buy the player. Because the player could not have signed an everlasting contract. So the contract must come to an expiration. Just sit out and wait the time and leave for free. That is why when you're going into these deals, you get a lawyer. That is why players in Jamaica, let me say this to you, even with the clubs, even when you are young, because and Mr. Butler alone get player for a little bit of money and sell them for a whole heap of money. He's not the only one who get players for nothing and sell them for huge sums. Leader, business is business. Talk to me. Have you ever gotten a player with zero because you got him from 15 and 16? But when it came to his selling time, it's over 500,000 and more he was sold for. Business is business. Business is business. The way of the football market is to get players as cheap as possible and sell them for as high as you can. That is it. Peso. Let me tell you again, Peso. All if the player never play one game, where was he living? He not have playing a game. Did he live somewhere? Did he eat food? Did he get any nutritional supplements? Did he have to be transported anywhere? You don't have to play any game. You could be rubbing bench. You could be out of the squad. A man gets to determine what the value of his player is. And if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You think you can go down to Mount Pleasant and tell them how much them supposed to give your player for? They can decide not to. You think Mount Pleasant can go for Cavaliers and tell Rudolph Speed say him get Richard King for free? So them need to give him for free? Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that, Peso? That Mount Pleasant need to go to Cavaliers and say to them, Richard King leave. Him leave from Clarendon and him come here. You never pay no money for him. Make the boy leave for free. You cannot do that. Whether you want to call people thief on this matter, Peso, I'm not discussing several things with you. On this matter, the man is right to be asking for money for the player. On this matter. So let's deal with this matter. We're not talking about people in football in Jamaica. We're talking about this particular matter. Boss, even if it is 6 months and 100,000 a month is spent on him for his upkeep, that's 600,000. The man can still ask for 1 million. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. The objective of clubs is to get players for a little bit of nothing and sell them for a lot. And that is business. Nothing is wrong with that. You don't have to buy the player. All the player has to do is to sit out the time of his contract. Oh God. I just saw this post from a former Harborview player. It is funny. Let me just break and give you a little joke. Of course, some of the language are not fitting for a man of my stature. So I shall not be saying the words. So it says, so me see why I'm a good club, Harborview, and the line of relegation from stew peas, I'm talking about the meal, right? Involved, then everything get higher, right? I biggest hypocrite, all of that pass through the view. How Foley have in license, but is a peas in charge. No foul. No foul. Can't go in a stew peas. You know what you're bad. You better cut out it and save me club. The man said no foul. Can't go in the stew peas, boy. I don't want to be like it. Be like it. We like it. We like it. Leader, let me come back to you. Leader, I tell you to leave this alone. What does that have to do with anything, leader? If a man determines that this is what the player is valued, you can't tell him that him not value that amount, leader. Excuse me. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Why you get to determine? And let me ask you again. The monies that were paid by Mount Pleasant, wasn't there you really want me to get into how you have done some of the same things, leader? You remember you came on this program, leader, and talk about the free money that was there. That's why you sent players to Mount Pleasant Academy. But you did it in such a way that they would not. You remember you said those things on this? They would not own the players and then you could take them. So you allow them to. Was that ethical in practice, leader? You remember you said those things on this platform about the players and they were never Mount Pleasant players? You just send them there because there was development and they could get certain things free. And you made sure that they get that. And then when you're ready for them, you took them. I'm telling you, you see, me respectfully said to your leader, leave the thing alone. Me always say that. That's why I not like. Leader, leave this to me and Peso. But you keep saying business is business for you, Lord leader. But you don't want to say business is business for other people, leader. That is the problem. Why business is business for you? Business is business for everybody. A person going to beat you today. Don't need the player. What them do? Keep them. Yeah, keep them forever. When players are not good, exactly. Every club, Arsenal get rid of player, City get rid of player, United get rid of player, Chelsea get rid of player, Liverpool get rid of player. Didn't Liverpool get rid of Sturridge? Didn't Liverpool get rid of Suarez? Coutinho? Didn't they get rid of Sterling? Didn't Liverpool get rid of them? Henderson? James Milner? Are you saying that the club should keep the players until they're ready to retire? What is wrong with your Peso? In Peso? What is wrong with you? Peso, what is wrong with you? Of course. After a while, clubs get rid of players. How many times I hear you say that Liverpool need to sell Darwin Núñez? Get rid of him. So why Mount Pleasant not to get rid of player? What is wrong with that? So let me tell you this, Peso. From Mount Pleasant came in the league, the pandemic and after the pandemic, I put this to you, that if Mount Pleasant was not spending the kind of monies with clubs that they spent, this league would have collapsed financially. What has sustained several clubs is the multi-million dollars they have collected from Mount Pleasant in transfers that has kept them in times when the league itself wasn't able to give them any money. So everybody should give Mount Pleasant a big round of applause. The Ministry of Sports should award Mr. Peter Gould for his stellar work on Mount Pleasant. Because if Mount Pleasant was not in this league and Peter Gould was not doing what he was doing, this league would collapse after the pandemic. So every day you get up, you have a problem with Mount Pleasant spending money. Man, sit down. Light a candle. Sing a sanky. Jump in your bed. Oh, all right, Pesa, you said you never said you wanted Darwin Núñez. Is there any player at Liverpool, Pesa, that you wanted to leave at any point in their Liverpool career? Any player at all? You don't think players should leave clubs? Every player should stay there until retirement. Of course. See, Rudolph Speed love more. See, the real people never talk. Leader love Mount Pleasant. Who not really love Mount Pleasant? Pass. I want one more Mount Pleasant. It's like how Moby coming at the league. So on a Mount Pleasant alone by people. Moby United by Chanel from Cavaliers. You think ice cream money? What do you mean buying players and hide them? Duckland, what you talk about by Arsenal by Keyword and him not playing? Look at what player Manchester United play and sometimes the coaches don't play. What is wrong with you, Duckland? Duckland, me expect better than that from you, you know. You're very pessoish right now in the Duckland. You cannot tell the man the peso. Buying a player don't mean that he's going to play every game. What do you mean say the man not to buy? You are saying that Mount Pleasant must not buy the player. You know how much money Tivoli get? And what Tivoli has done? And if they had not sold the player, how the club would have managed? You don't know all of that, peso. So relax. Relax, man. You don't understand, peso. What if Tivoli never had money to operate? They have been struggling. And suppose they sold Pinnock and they got $10 million. And now they're able to play the rest of the player's salary. Wouldn't that be worth it? Buying a player don't mean he's going to play. Didn't Cavaliers get Justin Dunn from Tivoli? And Justin Dunn didn't start in the last game, but he came on. Didn't they get the Haitian from Mount Pleasant? He didn't start. He came on. I didn't see Ronaldo Barrett last night. Being bought by a club don't mean you're going to play every game. Look how much time Jota bench at Liverpool. Look how much time Núñez bench at Liverpool. Has Neto played a game for Arsenal? All right, call in person and explain. You not explain to me, explain to the people, because the people are going to beat you and Duckland to a frazzle. You call in. Line open, Pesa. I don't talk. Big up Mr. Speed, what you mean? Big up Mount Pleasant. And big up Mr. Gould. All right, Mr. Speed, more you can answer Duckland. Because Duckland say we need more financial regulation in the league. Money should not determine the winner of the league. But, some money make Cavaliers. You know it's true. Because of how much money Mount Pleasant spent with Cavaliers, you know. Why Cavaliers was able to give the players more salary, you know. Mount Pleasant, stop spend money with the club them. Buy some players from overseas. Mount Pleasant, stop spend money and buy players in the Jamaican League. Buy the players them from overseas. Get the players them from overseas. And make the clubs can't pay them salaries anymore. Call in, Peso. I'm sorry for you when you call in, you see the people are going to beat you. I don't know you call in for no Peso, but people, I am silent. Happy New Year.
Hey, where's
Mr. Chuck. No.
Happy New Year, man.
What you say? Go ahead. Talk to the people.
I don't have a problem with Mount Pleasant spending money in the league. So don't get me wrong, man. That's not the point. What I'm simply saying, the players, because of money is not all money a necessity. But because of money, they won't tempt the better players than go there. What I'm saying, as a player, you ultimately want to play management. That's our first. So I say, I'm seeing a lot of players. When we see Daxley, them sell Daxley, now them buy him back. Case in point, I tell about Leonard Rankin, he wanted to leave, and they never wanted you to leave. And now they sell him now. And then something I talk about management, when a player unhappy, if you make them go, it don't make no sense. You keep them and you don't want them and you don't play them.
You finished?
You talk about done now, Mr. Manning. No, you talk about done from Cavaliers to Tivoli. And Jerome is same one. That's why I'm not Jerome again. Because you say no players in the league. and you loan your best player who do so well for you last year to your rival Cavaliers. How that make sense? Tell me how that makes sense. And then you come on platform and talk things about winning and player and everything. So why you coach in the league? Why you fight in the league then? So I would tell us if we don't make Tivoli that staple club. We have much from Siaga and Mackenzie. So why they not get involved and come pump money in the Tivoli? You wait for one to a big club, you sell your best player, and the player go at club, no player not get no game. You're comfortable sitting on the bench. When you used to play, that's a penny cook me at that. Why sense that? Because Tivoli get good money for penny cook.
All right, so you're ready for my time now? All right, you're working, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. So, if a company says, yo, the best person at Old McDonald, when it comes on to merchandising, is a young man called Mr. Travis Peso. They presently pay him $220,000 a month. Listen, this guy, we need him at our company. All right? And they offer you, right? They offer you, $420,000 a month. And they're willing to give your company money for you to leave, right? You have your responsibility, you have your daughter, you have your house, you want to buy a car and stuff. Are you staying at Old McDonald?
Yes, I am. My choice. My choice. That's what I say. That's why I'm not telling you, money is not all. Money is a necessity. So you couldn't go choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing with you.
So that's a different thing.
Oh,
yeah.
No, it's not different. So you are saying
yes, management.
No, it's not.
Most of the players they don't have a choice because the money.
No, Peso. It's not a different thing. You just make a different choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a different thing. What I am saying to you, Penny Cook, you don't know what situation the youth was in. But what you don't know.
No, fear enough. You
don't know the status of the youth life. All right, I'm going to give you. There's a player in the league, right? That is at Mount Pleasant. He could be starting. A few years ago, they lost their house in a fire.
Yeah, man, the goalkeeper. I know that.
So why should that player leave Mount No to get less money?
No, management. No.
So he's not supposed
to. No, management. He come to a choice.
Listen what I'm saying. He's not playing.
A choice.
He's not playing. So why shouldn't he leave? Because a club offered him the opportunity to be playing. So why shouldn't he leave?
As a number one.
As a number one.
No, that's what I say. It's a choice. It's a choice for him. I'm a choice there. But basically, he can't play over the goalkeeper I keep down.
I'm not talking about that.
I'm keep better than him.
No, what I'm saying though, the man needed money because his house, he lost every single thing. Only thing they had was the clothes on their back. You don't believe that part of football is earning for your personal well-being. And to secure your own.
I believe that.
Yes.
Yeah,
so you can't blame the players.
Yeah.
What you need to ask Rankin is, Rankin, what did you do with all the money that you made at Mount Pleasant over the years?
When is we not talking about money about Rankin?
Money.
I say about money, Mr. Manage playing time. I say man was instrumental in winning the league. Yes, I know.
All right. Ask Rankin. Ask Rankin. How did he get injured? When he was playing every week, how did he end up getting injured? And who took care of him when he got injured?
Manage, we know all of that, Manage. We know all of that.
So hold on there. So did he get injured playing for Mount Pleasant?
Yes, Manage, but we don't talk about that, Manage. That's not the point.
Hold on. Here's what I'm asking him. Listen what I'm asking him. When Rankin got injured, was he playing a game for Mount Pleasant?
No, he was getting paid at Mount Pleasant, Manage.
He was at Mount Pleasant, but he got injured.
Still getting paid.
He got injured. Mount Pleasant took care of him in his injury and was still paying him. Though,
yes, I know that.
They could have said he breached his contract.
Yes, true.
And then when he got recovered, he said he wanted to leave. You don't think the club can say, no, we're not letting you go now. When we're ready, we let you go.
No, but at the time, man was getting any playing.
Then up to the club.
So what's he doing
the club?
Right.
No,
so player not all.
But you have a contract. Always sign in your contract that if you don't play X amount of game, you're going to leave.
Yeah.
So you need a good agent. You can't blame the go on up a Cavaliers, go tell them that Chad James not get enough game and speed to let him go. Go on go tell Speed.
No man, that's a Chad James business. A Chad James must know where he want. Simple, you know. It's simple, you know, management. What management? Don't get me wrong, you know. I'm not blaming more players, you know. And what more players are doing in the league is good for the league in terms of monetary wise. What I'm simply saying, players, you all leave your club. We are a starter. And because of the money, and you now play, how that help you? That's the part I'm talking about. Because to me, you know, more players don't want to buy all the best players. Mr. Gold, go around, have a checkbook and just tell them, say, no, this is a player, them. It's Alex Marshall, all right. For example, though, you just put for a ranking, not touch for Walsh now. When Walsh got injured, wasn't that Portmore? He got injured.
Yes, and Portmore did his surgery.
As him recover one game in play, and then he transferred to Mount Pleasant.
You don't think so watch this now. You don't think Portmore get back all the money they spent on the surgery and more?
Yeah, man, I'm going more too.
And watch this. Since Walsh has left, Portmore, they have climbed the standing and they have won. They have a player what scored a hat-trick. So now that they have money, they have to do other things. Listen, you see what?
No, but Portmore always have players management competitively.
What I'm saying
over the years.
If what all I'm saying, Professor, is that if Mount Pleasant does what you and Duckland want them to do, then guess what? Clubs will go back to where they were when they didn't have enough money to pay.
Management, you get me wrong, you know, management. What I'm saying, no, nothing wrong with buying the players, you know, management. What I'm saying, the players must know what they want. Because some players run there.
They want the money.
Around the league, and I'm left.
Peso, Peso,
you know, work
Peso, you have been a part of Reno. Peso, you think when Nikolai Finlayson left Reno is because he never left Westmoreland, or because no money never down there? Waterhouse was offering more money and he needed a car.
No, man, we got relegated. No, man, we got relegated, management, the first time. We got relegated.
What I'm saying to you is that
so that's a different case.
But he left because if he was getting no money at Waterhouse, he wouldn't leave Reno. People leave for the money. Are you they need money?
Yeah, but how you know, management, how you know say he was one of the top earner, Reno at the time?
But Waterhouse must have paid more.
No, man, we got relegated. That's why he left. I saw coming go out and Waterhouse management.
Other players
and a few tries start to come back. Right.
But other players stayed when Reno got relegated. He did not.
True. Yeah, then a choice. Choice. Come to player.
And sometimes when you play football,
what I'm saying, man, a player like agree. A player like Pinnacle tell the street. All right, man, don't show the back. I mean, a taxi.
All right, cool. All right. People, some of the players have been suffering, right? Financially. Now them have the opportunity to move and make some money. Let them go and get the money. Yeah. All right. Boss. That God. You just watch something where a man say, Mason Green is over the line. And then you ask me, yeah, you go ask him, man. You can't ask me that. You have to ask him, man. Call him, text him, reach out to him on Instagram, boss. You understand me? But the biggest spenders typically win most of the time in every league. Here's why now. It's a little bit different in Jamaica because the more money Mount Pleasant spend at Cavaliers is the better Cavaliers are going to do, which is part of the trick of the league, you know. Check it out. If, say, for example, Mount Pleasant buy 2 players from Cavalier with 30 million, you know what that means? What that means is that now Cavalier have more money to pay the players who are there. Higher salaries consistently. And what that means is that because of the coach and other factors, they may still be able to do well. That is what I'm saying, you know. So sometimes the clubs take the money for the players because they know they will have more money to spend. Remember, like for many years, Southampton used to do that. Southampton say like Chamberlain. Southampton sold Chamberlain. They sold Walcott. They sold Van Dijk. They sold Marnie. They sold Lalana, Southampton was one of those clubs that their model was to build up players through their academy system and sell them to the bigger clubs. And they would get relegated. But they operated in a sustainable way. Behind the scenes. You need to call in and tell me about these transfer business. You know? Let me see if I can call my friend behind the scenes, because he knows these things. You know? Mr. Speed, leader is asking for a salary cap in the league. What say you? They're asking for a salary cap in the league. What say you? Mr. Fortune, behind the scenes, how you doing?
What's up, man?
Yeah. What do you make of the discussion? People are saying that, like the players who go to Mount Pleasant and they are not getting game time. It's an issue, right? How important is a player, especially in their latter stages? I mean, earning money to take care of their families versus playing time.
So there's a couple of things. The conversation has evolved from one thing to the next. But look, at the end of the day, a player value, part of a player value is determined by how much he's playing, right? He or she is playing. Okay, so if a player isn't playing, the value doesn't move. As a matter of fact, it moves in the wrong direction. And each player, as for the older players, some is interested in legacy, so they want to play no matter what. And some get to the point where they say, you know what, it's about making money for me, right? So I want a good contract. And if I play, you have guys like Diego from Brazil left and went to China. He wasn't concerned about legacy. He was concerned about making money, right? So it depends on the individual and where they're at in their life and what they want to accomplish. But to the earlier part of the conversation, and I'm not speaking specifically to the incident that you were referring to this morning. I'm not speaking specifically to that. But we have to be mindful that we don't discuss these things in a vacuum and ignore the welfare of the player, the environment that we create, okay? A lot of these young players does not have enough information
there you go
to negotiate contracts for themselves or to even choose an agent, okay? Because I would say that I intervene in a situation that is personal to me because the agents never believed in the players and they were only interested in making money off of the players, right? And was bringing nothing to the table, okay? And you would know one of the agents. And it's important that when these young players get involved with agents or with football clubs, that there are proper contracts in place. And look, at the end of the day, if a player is at a football club and a football club is investing in him, the football club deserves to get a return on their investment. Absolutely. Right? Let's state that. Right? Anything other than that is, however, if a situation is not working, okay, there's many ways in which you can deal with contracts in good faith to make sure you get a return on your investment. It may not be when the player moves now, but it could be when the player moves the second time around. You understand what I'm saying? From the club they go to, where there might be more money available. So I think if there's good faith, and because when a young player is at a football club and isn't playing, okay, and is not in a good situation, those things could lead to affect the mental state as a human being. We've got to look at the human side of it. So that's why I said just now, if we say, well, business is business, then we're ignoring all of that stuff, right? There are ethical issues here. It's young people we are dealing with.
There you go.
People who are trying to find a way in life through football. Okay, and we can't just say, well, this is all business, so I get you for cheap and sell it for as much as I can and don't care about the individual themselves. Right? Because if we care, we'd make decisions in a different way. So again, I am saying that if a football club, I don't care who it is, whether it's Arsenal, Barcelona, Cavaliers, or whoever, if they invest in a player, they deserve a return on that player, right? And hopefully we have an environment where that could work smoothly. But there are times that it's not smooth, but decisions could be made still where you can receive your return and the player welfare is taken care of, because we're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with human beings at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point. I think that thing about in good faith. I think when it comes down to youngster, especially with this player that we started out, I think in good faith that needs to happen. That somebody need to mature enough to think about the welfare of the player. But all I'm saying is that I don't subscribe to people saying that the person should not be charging $1 million, because we don't get to determine that, because we don't know how much money they spent on the player. That is the thing. We don't know the level of their investment. So there we can't we can't determine what they are supposed to be asking for in return.
So in the world of football, there are ways that they use to determine the value of players, right? It could be as simple as people making comments about the player online, plus there's a whole lot of other things that is taken into consideration to determine the value of a player. So a player have a value. And what happens sometimes is, or most of the time, is that the club places a value on that player as well. So the club could decide, okay, the market is saying he's worth $1 million, but guess what? Because it's an English club coming for him, and we know they have money, I'm going to ask for $3 million. Or I'm going to ask for $5 million, right? So the market really, at the end of the day, is what people are willing to pay for the player. So they may ask for $5 million, and they end up getting $1.5 million, which is $500,000 more than they wanted, right? It all determined on what somebody is willing to pay for the player, right? And nobody should really get. I mean, we can't get involved in that because, as I just said, we don't know how much money, what was poured into the player, and that kind of stuff. But I think we also have to understand that it doesn't seem to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a process in the region, or we don't adhere to the process, because FIFA have a set of guidelines, right? If the system is set up properly, how we could determine the value of young players, for example, who's in the academy and whatever the case may be. And of course, when they become pros, it's a different process. But it don't seem as though we have a system that says that guide us in terms of how we come about what the value of a player might be.
That's a very good point. Like I'd love to hear that. I need to find out from the league organizers, what is the process used to determine the value of a player? Is it national caps? Is it age? Is it just amount of games played? What are the things? What are the
criterias?
The criterias that are used to determine, are the parameters that are put in place that determines that this player is worth 500,000, this player is worth. Because how it is to me now is that a club just say, yo, a 2 million more for this player, or a 3 million more for this player, or a 4 million, or a 1 million, or this. And that is how it is. Like, how do we determine that? And I think I like the idea that you have, how it is like just globally, that we need to determine what process leads to the final evaluation of a particular player.
You could go on transfer market and see what the market says any individual player is valued at the moment. Okay? And when a club engages, right, that price that the club end up paying could be more than that. But at least they know, right? They can look every few months and see when the value changes, and so they know what they're getting into. But it's almost like it's a wild, wild west, right? What, we just throw a value on there? We just throw a value on there based on Based on what? So again, I'm not speaking specifically to that situation, right? Because I mean, some of these things, it is what it is. But there must be, as we work to improve the system, and I know they've done a lot of work in Jamaica to improve the JPL and stuff around it and whatever the case may be. I think that's one of the things that that must be taken here, because in one end, people could be asking too much, and on the other end, people could not be getting paid what they should be getting paid for the player. So a 15-year-old in any country moving from one club to the next, there is a formula for determining the value of that player. Right now, if that player is performing at a level that they say, we want more than that, that's between the two football clubs to decide. But at least there's a minimum, there's a formula that helps work that out. So,
all right, I have this. Yeah, but you're making some very good points, and I think that if anyone from the league is listening, it's something that we should look to do, which would, I think, further professionalize the league. But I don't think that will stop a club, especially when you have clubs like Mount Pleasant, that when they want a player, they are willing to pay over the odds for him, right? It's not going to stop that, but at least it will help to regulate. But I also, I know I said this earlier, and then I was told by the individual that if they said it to me, well, you made a public thing. So I'm going to just stay right there, and then I'm going to ask you the question that the person did. Let me just present this to the people so you can see what management was referring to. I was referring to this, my people. This is it. This is from, I at some point I thought this was, let me just remove this. It says, JPL needs a salary cap. This is the richest team simply buying the league. All right? No. Does the English, that is what the person said, right? I know this is not the same person in the comment section called a leader. This is a different person, but they go by the same name, right? In all full cap and stuff, right? But it's a different person because they said they didn't ask this. So my question is there a salary cap in the EPL or in Syria?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah, just from your knowledge. Is there a salary cap in those leagues?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is there a professional football league that you know anywhere that there is a salary cap on it?
Well, the MLS does have some controls in place, right? Like they have a minimum salary. They have certain amounts that you pay for, they have designated players where you can spend. They have a lot of controls in place, right? That's why they have been profitable over the years, right? But their system is different.
Yeah, but what they have is like players between this category and this category receive this amount, this category. But whatever that cap is, did it apply, for example, to Messi? Is it a cap? Or did they go above the cap because it is Messi and change it? Is there really a cap, or is there a control mechanism to help to keep it? Because it is franchise, to keep the franchise profitable. More so than
to keep the franchise.
Yeah.
But in a case like Messi, and without researching, my understanding is the salary doesn't come, the money that he earns doesn't come only from the football club, right? And I think it happens in other parts of the world too. Different apparel companies get involved, right? If the apparel company is associated with the club. So there's a lot of different ways. I mean, look at what's happening in England at the moment, right? They have financial mechanisms in place to control how much a club spend, but then you have some guys with a different understanding of finances comes into Chelsea and find a way around it, right? They start giving people longer term contracts so they can treat it a little bit different. So there's always going to be smart people, well-educated people in the field of finance to figure out how to get around stuff, right? But you have to have something in place. It cannot just be like the Wild West, where everybody just placing whatever value they want on something.
But is that what
especially
is happening
when we're talking about
in over in the league where, because a couple of persons, DW says they have a soft cap. Then he says the designated player can go above the cap. Then Boris Johnson says there is a cap. My thing though is this. All right. In the league where Ronaldo and those guys are, there is no salary cap.
The reason why I wouldn't call it a cap and I would say controls is because you could always find ways around stuff, right? And if they want to give a player more money, like you might go online and see a player is making $100,000 a year. That's his contract. And by the end of the year, he would have taken in $300,000. You understand what I'm saying? It's never really is what we see. So there's ways of them. The contract says this, and this is what they're going to be paid based on the contract. But there's other incentives that you put into a contract to get to a number or to get, that the player could earn it. So I call it controls because I know that they get around stuff. Not
Okay.
illegally though. Not illegally.
I know that the NBA has a salary cap. Right? I don't, and like somebody just said, I think it's more North American. I don't think there's any, financial fair play in England that determines how much you can spend. And that is right. So if you can find a way, I believe, to increase your earnings, then you can. You understand me? I'm gonna say Coach Boris calling me. Let me. I'm going to take him on, and then I'm going to send you the link. So if you want, you can just join, so I can have this call. All right. So let me do that.
All right.
Yeah. Coach Boris, welcome to the show. Coach Boris. Coach Boris.
Good morning.
Yeah, too much guys in the background. You have to turn off the
Yeah, I'm muted.
Yeah.
I can ask Otter.
Yeah, good afternoon. Live?
Yes, sir, you're live. You know what the show man say? What do you think?
Yeah, good afternoon to the listeners and wider diaspora. Good afternoon to yourself. I was just stipulated in the US. There's a cap in terms of a salary cap in terms of the MLS and I think the USL, UPSL. Because and what happened? I mean, this is much
Are you
different.
sure that there is a salary cap?
Yeah, there's a cap, but what you find is different because there's a franchise. However, as the caller before said, there's ways and means that club do go around it to make different offers. My thing on the transfer though, this is a situation that people get confused with. I mean, if I'm shopping for a player, there's a certain particulars and certain characteristics that are taking place in terms of the value of the transfer. Now, I would say the best player in Jamaica, we'd probably judge him by his skill and his potential to move on to something greater, as well as his current performance and his performance over time in terms of how regular he's playing, how consistent he is as a player. Now, a club might look at that to drive in terms of a transfer value. I mean, I like the decision because, and I like the discussion. Why? Because this is something that I think the bulk of it had started before me, but it had ended up with me at some point in time. I remember when I was trying to move from Waterhouse to Harborview, not necessarily because of wanting to leave Waterhouse, but because of relocation of where I was going to move to live at the time. And Waterhouse had asked for a transfer fee that when I sit with Harborview and have the discussion, I tell them, listen, I would probably rank as one of the better players leaving Waterhouse. So therefore, I understand the value that they are asking for. However, if you are not seeing eye to eye with what they ask for in terms of me, then there's two ways about it. It's either I go somewhere else or you fit the situation where you pay the fee. Now, it worked out for the better because at the time, there was a player.
What kind of money we talking about in that time? Because now transfers are in the millions, you know. We're talking about like 20,000, 30,000, $10,000.
At the time, I think Waterhouse had asked for $550,000.
How many years ago was that?
That was like, it was 98, going into 99
What?
season.
99 season?
Yeah.
More
Yeah,
than
and then,
20 years ago, them asking for $500,000 for the great Boris Johnson.
Yeah, but look at this.
What football
But look at
serious
this now.
I'm gonna go next year Mount Pleasant to spend only for money. Alone.
But look at this now, management.
Yeah.
The same situation after happened to me, it happened to Nandi.
Okay.
But you see what happened. But the situation was resolved, but it was a little bit harsh in terms of myself as a player, because what happened, I had to leave Jamaica during that time because it was chaos. And then there were a lot of rumors in terms of, based on the transfer fee, what type of money is it the players being paid. So it set up an old kind of work for the players, for the club, and for different organizations. I didn't notice the conversation on the subject is being targeted to Mount Pleasant. Now people is realizing the type of finance that Mount Pleasant is now putting out.
Yeah, but Mobile United spend a lot on transfer too. It's not just Mount Pleasant, man.
No, what I'm saying, just the discussion will reveal in terms of some of what the clubs are invested in the league.
Yeah.
So it opened a different kind of realm. And then, but it's just for people, it's just for the seller to understand what is it they're selling and the buyer for understand what is it they're buying. I just think that break it down to the reality of it, because the reality of it, the league won't put themselves in a position to put a cap in terms of a transfer, because they, like anybody else, won't know what is invested in the player while he's at whatever club.
Yeah, because some people are saying that they should put on a cap in terms of you can't. I think what Duklan is saying is that
I don't.
Because if
I don't think you can put a cap.
you can't put a cap on transfer
they
fee.
Won't know.
You can't tell clubs that you play only value. You think you can really go and tell Waterhouse and Arnett Gardens and Cavaliers that your player only value 500,000? You can't tell them that. You don't know what they have invested in the player.
I have players that I've been working with at Waterhouse at 13 years old, and I see they transfer from Waterhouse to Mount Pleasant, and the fee that was paid, I go, wow. That's the reality of it. So,
meaning that is a little bit of money or too much money?
Meaning that it was a pretty good sum. So the reality of it, people have to just learn from what happened in the game now, try to get themselves up to par and move forward. Because the reality of it, come next year and after January, it's going to get worse. And this is why you find a lot of big clubs now aligning themselves and affiliating themselves with smaller clubs, because it has a smoother transition in terms of players moving about.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to start the factors in terms of how important it is to develop. but I like the discussion as management.
Yeah,
it's just for me that the players are not leave out in the cold, because it's not easy. I mean, to sit out.
Peso, let me ask you this, because you played in the league. So if you were at a club in that time, right, and you're getting say 200,000, and somebody, a next club came in and said we can pay $500,000. So you're at Waterhouse and how about you say $500,000 a month? Peso said that he would not leave. What do you think it was like in that day? Would players leave, or would you leave, or would you still stay at Waterhouse?
No, the reality of it, I was on my way out, management, and as I said, for different reasons. It was necessary. It wasn't necessary because as you know, Waterhouse had dominated 98 in terms of playing all 4 finals. It was a very good team, and we had most of the players coming back. Also with addition, people like the Winston Aglin, people like the Nandi Lowe was coming on board. But the factor for me was I was moving out of Waterhouse to now go live in East.
Okay.
Which was closer to Harborview. And what happened, my first 2 weeks of trying to get to practice at Waterhouse, it was devastating. In terms of, I have to now be competing with the traffic that is going to Portmore and going to basically the west of the island. So after 2 weeks, I realized that, you know what, it would be easier to be going east than trying to compete against the traffic going west. So I spoke to the club to say, look, based on relocating in a different geographic area of the country, can I get a transfer out? I mean, I was looking for a free transfer, but the figure they quoted at the time to Harborview
realistically, what will happen? If you had just transferred Billy Gardner to Bolton for a large sum, so therefore, any smart somebody would think that you now has money and probably willing to spend this money.
Okay,
But
I see.
as I said, it opened two different kind of worms. It opened one for the club that's trying to get you, and it opened one also for you as a player, because as I told you, when the situation happened with me, it was chaos moving about in Jamaica, because people was now saying, based on $500,000 for a transfer, what is this player earning? You see, I mean, a lot of people approach me, wow, I need to get my son into football because I didn't know. And it was chaos. And I think for the latter part, I had to leave the country for a little bit just to get out of that situation. Fortunately, it worked out in terms of a trading. One player from Harborview was traded to Water, so I was now traded to Harborview. And the rest, as you know, was history. But there's no league that can put a figure on how much is invested in a player while he's at a club.
All right.
The reality, there's no reality to that. And the reality is just for the clubs that seeking these players to understand is what is it comes with $1 million. If I'm going to purchase a player for $1 million, it simply means that there's certain criteria that I would have already sit and look at. So therefore, I will either be willing or not willing to pay such a transfer fee. That's just the reality of it. But I think it's good discussion and it's good information so clubs can now see what's happening, see what's taking place in the business of the football and where it's going. So they can now start preparing themselves, management.
All right, big up yourself. All right, good thoughts. Thanks for your input, man. Very good input. All right, yeah, man. All right, we have Issa Allen. We have before the game, who is going to join us. See if I can get Issa. All right. So before the game, we have some noise in the. Let me just mute. All right, so we're trying to get Issa Allen. Duklan, you cannot. If you are going to say Duklan, let me tell you why this can't work. If you are saying that, and here's what Duklan is saying. He's saying, I am not saying players should have salary caps. I'm saying clubs need to be regulated in how much they can spend. Their spending should be tied to the profit of the club, not the pocket of the owner. Duklan, no club in Jamaica, except for Cavaliers who recently participated in the club championship. Right? And if they did not have some of the major transfers from Mount Pleasant, they would not have any profit. So what you're saying that clubs should not be spending anything because none of the clubs are really profitable without the input of transfers from Mount Pleasant. I don't think you can have that, Duklan. I don't know, Duklan. I don't agree with you, Duklan. But Issa Allen, we have you online. Welcome. We have before the game. We have behind the scenes who is on the scene right now and not unseen in the studio as well.
Well, I needed unseen someone.
No, it's not. Sure. No, you can't do that. It's
behind the. I'm sorry, behind the scene.
It's before the game. Before the game.
Okay, I'm sorry. Bless up, Mister. Before the game. But in regards to the salary cap in the MLS, man, this is how they put it. The designated player, that's the name of the rule. The designated player. So a team can have, I don't remember if it's 2 or 3 designated players. Their salary, which will be on the books, is capped at a specific amount.
Man, I don't know about this circle thing, you know.
Hold on. Before hold on, you don't know about it?
This circle thing you have here.
Yeah, man. It's a football. We can't have a square. All right, just hold on. Go ahead before the game, right? So he's just telling us what the MLS says. So start over, Issa.
Yes. So it is called a designated player rule. On the books, the salary is going to be capped, but it says, however, the club can pay the player whatever they want as long as the club gets approval from the league. So on the books, it will say Messi is getting $683,750 on the books. Whatever else he's getting, the club is allowed to pay him, but it's not going to be recorded as that because the salary should say on the books $683,750. So I don't know if you want to call it a cap, as you were saying, it don't seem like a salary cap when the club is still allowed to pay them more than
I like the
what
word
you will see
controls.
on the book.
I
Control,
like
as
the word
management, we
control
are saying it's
because
a salary control.
not only could they pay them more, but they can trade certain rights. For example, they may get a number one draft pick that another team had, so that there's a lot of things they could negotiate so that they could pay the salary that they want, and it not hurt
Right. I remember,
them. So there's
and it's not hurting
players
here.
within a roster that could get paid, and it doesn't count against their salary cap or the salary amount that they have for that particular
Yeah,
season. I
yeah,
think
that is exactly what I'm
22s
reading
are
here.
one of
That is
those.
exactly what I'm reading here. Yep, that is exactly what I'm reading here. Because it says Messi's budget charge, as I said, is $683,750, which is the maximum cap for the designated player. But it says Inter Miami's ownership will cover the cost of Messi's salary because of his DP status, which is the designated player status. And we all know Messi have tons amount of contract, Apple, Adidas, all of those stuff. So on the books, it's going to say what I said earlier, but we know that he's getting more than that because of the designated player status. So would you still call it a salary cap management?
Well, DW saying the cap is the cap. The designated player is a circumvention. You can call it a cap, as they call it a cap. If you can get more, it is not capped.
That's black and white. And you're right. If you can get more, you can call it a salary cap.
Yeah.
And I think that is just to. You see, when you want to get these types of players on bigger salaries, I think this quote unquote cap it just is for players on a lower budget. These players who are on the high wages, it doesn't affect them, but it affects players who are on the lower end. You understand what I'm saying, man? It don't affect the players who are going to get the high wages. It affects the others.
I see. DW is saying that we need to Google it. That's him say go Google it, brethren. So let's do some more research. But Duckland, I want to come back to something, because Duckland is saying that we should put a limit on how much the owners could spend out of their pocket. Duckland, you're still going to have a problem, because if you say a owner, say hypothetically speaking, Mr. Gould, you can only spend $50,000 this year, and he buys a bus to bring the team for $50,000. All right. Are you saying that he cannot spend any more money for the rest of the year? It's going to get complicated in a developmental league, because we are not a fully professional. We're not a professional league. So there are many things. He's probably going to spend $100 million on fixing surface and infrastructure. Are you going to tell him, so because you have done that, you cannot spend any more?
No, that's not how that works, man. I think the money that you spend on infrastructure or buying a bus is not considered as part of your salary, what you pay to players. I think that's a separate budget, and that's
right.
the thing you could address. But let me say this before you say that. Yeah. I think we are very invested. It seems as though we are very invested in the region of just trying to reproduce somebody else's product, as opposed to getting together some of the brightest minds in the region. Maybe we get some help from outside and sit down and figure out a system that would work in the region to make sure that the clubs are sustainable and the players get compensated properly and on time. Just like the MLS did with their league. The MLS system is different. It's different from everywhere else in the world, but it works for the MLS.
Yeah,
right? They make more money than a lot of the leagues in Europe. The NFL system, they make more money. Entertainment in the US is very lucrative, right? Because they have a system that works for them. And I think in the region, we need to consider, does what they do in England work for us? And it might mean taking some from England, from the MLS, some from Saudi Arabia, some from Spain, and put together something that works for us.
Yeah, but all right, so fine. I hear, and I agree. I totally agree with that because I want to again. I'm going to, and Issa and you can chime in when you want because I know you have some
Yeah.
other stuff that you want to share as well. I don't know if you want to do it today or not, right? But we can do it tomorrow. So we can keep this show focused on this, right?
Definitely, man.
But let me say this now to Duklan. Duklan, here's because I can go further with it. So say the salary in terms of what you can spend on player is $5 million for the year, for the season, for the I don't know. All right. You still have, right? You still have, remember this now. Is that for players from Jamaica? Because when you bring a player from overseas to Jamaica, that's an issue. Is there going to be a minimum salary? What do you pay to players who are in the national program? So when you consider all of those things, it's going to be so complicated to set that because you're probably going to put a minimum salary that the team that is coming into the league can't even afford to pay.
There you go.
So the league is not structured, which is what? Oh, yes, you have to separate. So he's now saying that the salary is different. So he's talking about just what? Transfer then? What? Me not understand. Which is real. You're regulating transfers. And you can't tell a club that you cannot spend more than $1 million on transfer for a season. Because the minimum for any player they want to transfer in the league could be $5 million. So you're going to say that you can't buy anybody? That don't make any sense. Because remember, you don't determine the selling value of the player you want to buy. The club that is selling it determines that. And what if your amount is $1 million and the minimum for a player is $5 million because he has national caps? How does that work? It can't work, Duklan. Go ahead.
It cannot work. It cannot work. And then the next reason why, if you look at the fair play rule in the EPL, right, man, basically it's not spending more than what you're making. Man, the price for winning the JPL is what, $2 million?
Yeah.
$2 million, man. The club's already spent more than that without even buying a player. It doesn't make sense. The league is not at that place yet. You understand? So even to say, okay, you want to have regulating transfers, you can't do that yet because some of these clubs are not making anything to say, okay, let's put some sort of regulations into transfer. The clubs to win the league and making $2 million, it don't make sense.
And there's no
it don't
TV,
make no sense
and
at all.
you don't have like any major TV stuff where the clubs get money. The clubs don't
You
earn enough
understand?
money to make profit. So
You
to
understand?
regulate,
So to regulate it, the league is not at that place. It's just, it don't make sense. You understand? It don't make sense to me.
DW says this. Let's big up JPL fan as well. Richard Green, bless up. Prestine, big up yourself as well. He says, let's say King was my player and you're saying I have to sell him for a fixed amount when I know he can be sold 10 times that. That's why you can't cap it. No, you can't.
No.
It's going to
Management, who said that?
Duklan. Maybe I'm not understanding what he's saying, because I don't think it makes sense.
No, who's saying you could put a cap on what the player is sold for?
Huh?
Who's saying you can put a cap on the price of the player?
What Duklan is saying is that you don't really cap salaries. What he wants you to do is how much money you can spend on transfer for a season. You can't spend more than a certain amount. But I'm saying that you can't tell a club that because they don't set the value for the players that they want.
What is financial fair play about? What is financial fair play about at the moment?
Well, I let me tell you this. I think I don't think financial fair play affects the bigger clubs. No way. In other words, I don't see how it has affected City buying players and paying high salaries. They're just find creative ways of doing it.
Well, we only gonna know that for sure if City win the cases that's against them, right? If they win those cases, then there's no financial fair play, right? People could do what they want. But I don't think that
financial fair play is to protect the clubs from themselves. It is spending what you don't have.
So what?
Yeah, as I said earlier, financial fair play is basically, not spending more than what you're making. That's basically it.
That and financial fair. If that is financial fair play, we'd have to stop the league in Jamaica because, except for Cavaliers, who last year, which a lot of their revenue came from transfer, no club in Jamaica makes a profit. So no club should be operating. If you're saying that you cannot spend more than you're making, then the clubs in Jamaica can't spend any money on football, any at all, because they're not making any money. They're not making any profit.
A lot of clubs don't make profit in football.
Huh?
A lot of clubs don't make profit in football.
That's what I'm saying. So it cannot. Financial fair play is not Arsenal. You can only spend based on your profit. No, I think what they're saying that if you can't spend more than a certain amount, because I don't think a lot of clubs make profit.
Is it profit or revenue?
Well, is it you tell me?
I think when you if we bring it back to the initial part of the discussion, you got to have a structure in place that benefits the club, that benefits the whole system as a whole. Is promotion relegation a good thing for Jamaica? Right? Does it need to be something else? Right? I don't know the answer to that, right? But right now they have a promotion relegation system. And one of the problems with that is that when a team comes up without any infusion of cash from the league itself, TV money, as you mentioned just now, for example, right, it can be difficult to compete.
Yep.
Right. Mount Pleasant is going to be at the top of the league for a long time to come because they're probably spending the most money. Mount Pleasant, Cavaliers, they're going to always be challenging for the trophies. Everybody else, they have to do something special. They have to come up with something special.
Yes, what? Mobile United had an infusion of cash. They're at the top of the league as well.
So clubs have there are clubs in the English league every year they come into the Premier League knowing that they're not going to win the league, but they're going to play in that space. Some clubs are developmental clubs, basically, because while they're competing, they're going to sell the best players, whether it's in January or in summer, right, to make money. Right, fair enough? So I think in the region, we need to find a place. What is the purpose of the league? And have a system that everybody adheres to and could run the football club the way they want to run it and be profitable. You must have regulation in place, because if the football club is not profitable, then there's a problem for everybody, right? Then players don't get paid, and it leads to a whole lot of other issues within society. Because if footballers are not getting paid, they're gonna have to replace that revenue somewhere else, and Lord knows what it might be, right? It could be through legal means, or it could be through criminal means, right? Because these are young men who have obligations, basically.
Can I ask you a quick question? Because I know you're speaking about, putting system in place and regulations, but I mean, like, what system or regulations would you put in place that would give you cash injection? Because that's basically what the clubs need right now. That's the main thing that they would need. I don't know if putting a system in place or regulations would, help cash injection in the clubs locally. But so what are you thinking when you say regulations and systems in place? Because the clubs are not profitable any at all. As Mansman was pointing out, probably only one club would be Cavaliers, who actually, went on to, make some revenue, and that's, by winning, a cup outside of Jamaica. So, I mean, that's the main thing I think the clubs need right now is cash injection. So when you're mentioning, like, regulations and systems in place, how would that, assist, with getting cash injection? I see DW said TV rights. Well, I mean, the viewership is probably pretty small, so you won't get a big penny for TV rights. But go ahead if you want to respond to my question or
Yeah,
statement,
man.
if
All
you
right.
will.
Yeah, and then before you come in, Andre, is DW also says that financial fair play was not City's issue. He's saying that what City did was that they hid money from other sources and used it to fund salaries. So it is not financial fair play issues they have, it's other issues.
At the end of the day, they have issues.
It's just like Chelsea. Has Chelsea broken any financial fair play stuff with all of their transfers and all? They spent $1 billion. So I don't think the playing field has been leveled because Southampton can't spend $1 billion. Ipswich can't do that. So it hasn't, financial fair play hasn't leveled the playing field. It has just, you know, helped some of the clubs to be more financially wise in terms of how they deal with transfers and salaries. But go ahead, Andre, and respond to Issa.
um, Newcastle got some rich owners and they won't be able to spend money. But to the question that he's asking, I'll say this. If we're talking about a problem on the football field, I'm very much equipped to handle that. I wouldn't run away from that at all. But what we're talking about, I'm not sure I have the answer, but I can make suggestions. So a lot of times we say the football clubs need money, right? And if you give the football clubs money in a short space of time, they probably would be without money, right? Because they don't have in place. It reminds me of a conversation that I had recently, not too long ago, with somebody that owns a football club in the region. And the conversation was, it was around money. They needed money, but they didn't want to put in place a structure that have a working board that would include the source of the funding, okay, that would help make decisions that will take the football club forward, right? If you look at most of the, Jamaica is better, and if we look at most of the club in Trinidad, I think it's just one of the football clubs that I'm aware of, maybe two, that have a website, something like a website. So the clubs aren't set up properly when compared to football clubs around the world to become to create a product that's attractive to people, right? The fields that we play on, there's a lot of things that is wrong or could be improved, that if you bring money in and you don't have people in place, a functioning board, people who can not only raise money but could help make the right decisions, right? Have transparency and that kind of stuff, then it's going to be difficult to improve the environment. Okay. When we talk about, I don't know if, and it seems as though the evidence suggests that it's not working, right? Because how long has the JPL been running?
The JPL?
Uh-huh.
Well, over 40 years, over 50 years.
Right. Professional, quote unquote, professional football in Trinidad has been around for a long time. And they just had a change in administration and the league got halted, right? Because in my opinion, there's not a sustainable infrastructure in place, that just the mere change of an administration could shut the league down because they don't know how to get the league going. And it took them a few months to do that. So, and football been running there for a very long time. So I think the expertise at the top is where we start, getting people who know, who are experienced in these things, not just from the league perspective, but also at the club perspective. You must have a board, a group of people who are, if they're investing in a football club, they're able to make decisions as well, right? And we're talking about not just a board for a board's sake, but people who can go out and raise funding, as opposed to sitting down and waiting for subventions from the government to pay for this and pay for that and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And listen, Issa, we have passed the 2-hour mark. We're not going to try to keep it. So I just wanted Andre, but to answer your question. Anything you want to add before you go?
That's it. I see some person speaking in the comment about the FFP, and I think it's similar to salary cap, where it don't affect the bigger salary players or the clubs who have, big revenue, it more affects smaller clubs and players and lower salaries. That's what I think.
Yeah, agreed. All right, man. Have a good day.
All right.
And yeah, man,
Yeah,
and
man.
we'll talk
Blessings.
again. Yeah. All right, people, there you go. So listen, I didn't even get into more players coming U20 and U17 girls who have competition coming up. I'm going to do that tomorrow. We're stuck at the whole JPL and just but yeah, um transfers and how rumors are dealt with and the impact of it. I don't know. And you have sons that play football. Do you think like rumors can affect the player in terms of their relationship with the clubs, or um give me your thoughts on that and then we will close.
Look, there's this almost is like deja vu, because I know it depends on the conversation, right? Sometimes agents and people that work with players put things in the press to create interest and market the player and put, clubs under pressure sometimes. But we're talking about, saying this club is interested in this player and there's a link to this player. It may or may not be true, but the real conversation is with club X, right? Not with club Y. I think anybody who is sharing information have a responsibility to make sure that the information that they're sharing is credible, right? So whether it affects the player or not, I think as individuals, we should be responsible. When I come on, I try to share information based on what I know is factual or what I have experienced, right? So when I'm involved in this today, I'm listening. I could have listened, but when we start talking about young players, and I haven't gone into any detail, and we start talking about how young players are treated, as you just mentioned, I have two players, right? And I've had experiences where people are just looking to make a dollar. They don't care about those young boys, right? And as a father, I have to make sure, I don't care what they think, but I have to make sure that I take care of them and nobody abuse them and use them. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, a footballer is the one that does the work. We can say what we want. The club invests, yes, but you don't want to get up every morning and go exercise, man, do you?
No.
And get kicked while exercising. And in some parts of the world, in the cold.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when a young person, look, the coach, the club is investing, but the young person is investing. Last night was, when I started practice last night, was 32 degrees, right? That is cold. So not only am I investing and the club investing, but the player is investing as well, because he's out there doing the work, right? And without the player, there's no product. So I think that we have to be mindful with these conversations, that not make the football club feel that they can do what they want, right? Not make the player feel that they can do what they want. We need to create an environment where everybody respect everybody's contribution to the process, and we have an environment that is there to that everyone could get out of it what they deserve to get out of it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to I think like some person are saying the conversation needs to be widened or probably have a further discussion, because what you're raising is an important point, which brings me to this. Now, while you and I have a friendship, if my son wants to play, it is important for me as a parent to really look and make sure that I am doing what is in the best interest of my son, and they don't end up in a situation like this particular player is in Jamaica. Even if it's an agent, I don't think at a certain age I can disconnect my son or disconnect from my son in this, because I still have yeah, there are times that I have to be a coach, but there's a next time I have to be a father. No, what
Right.
people are going to say, not everybody have that kind of parenting,
Right.
which is a bigger issue. So then, if kids don't have proper parenting, not all adults out there are parent-like in their conduct.
Right.
They be motivated by money, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore, how they, you understand me? How they
Yep.
are dealing with stuff. We may not like it, but they're in for the money. So players are going to be used if they don't have a proper group of people around them
A
to
small
help
group
them.
of people, small group,
Yes,
a small group, not a big group.
around them to help them in this process. And then what we do, we blame we blame the the pimp, or the,
Yeah.
I don't want to call him pimp, but the person who operate in that capacity where that brings the play. Even agents will do it too. Where they take player here and there, and sometimes we blame the agent, but then you have to ask, it's a child. Where is the parent? Where were you? You cannot just give your son or your daughter over
Let
to
me
people
let me answer
because
that
they're gifted
question.
and skilled. Yeah.
Let me answer that question. I am wrong. I've been told already that I'm too involved. You understand? I have witnessed people try to separate me from my sons so that they can take advantage, right? And
Yeah.
I can tell you, I now let me not go there. Look, I'm not going to accept that from anybody, right? At the end
Yeah.
of the day, they're not foolish, they're intelligent young men, but they're also young men, right? And there's no way that your son could acquire the knowledge that you have at your age, at his age. So he needs guidance, right? It doesn't matter what it is. And I'm not so sure what that means, Declan, but
No, 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 don't
yeah, he's been a troublemaker. He's been trying to make trouble.
the machine is referred to the things that
you
cowboys have
see,
in their holsters.
you see,
Yeah.
they have all the labels. You see the W say helicopter dad, all the labels, but it's okay. It's okay when Haaland dad is involved. It's okay when Neymar dad is involved. You understand what I'm saying? But it's not okay when we are involved with our children. You understand what I'm saying? They have all the labels, but the labels doesn't discourage me because I have a responsibility that I took very seriously from day one, right? From day one, and I'm not gonna run away from it, right? Because I know that would never they would never to the catch up to me in terms of where I am because of my age, my experience in life.
Yeah.
So I get up every day wanting to learn, hoping that I can share with them and they learn faster than most people. But I'm not gonna helicopter that or whatever. What is Duclan saying? Help me with that, management. Help me.
The machine is that thing that cowboys have in their holsters.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Let's
No,
leave it at.
I'll use intellect. Let me tell you,
But what,
it's
but
bad
what
out
I'll also
there.
say is this. What I'll say is this. If so, if ever father, you have an academy or you're an agent, and you and your family, including your kids, are leading that, you cannot engage my child and tell me that I cannot be a part of it because you have your own children invested in
Don't
what
say
they're
you
doing. So
cannot. They do. They
yeah,
try to. They
yeah, you
try
can
to.
do it. No,
Manage.
no.
I just destroyed a relationship with a couple of agents. I just destroyed a relationship because that's exactly what they were trying to do. And look, when people behave a certain way for a long period of time, they can't tell the difference. They know that I know the game. They know that I'm involved in the game. They know I was in the business. But
Yes.
their intent was what they do all the time with young boys is just sign them up, don't prioritize them, and just hope that they do the business on the field and they make money.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. That's horrible. That's horrible behavior because these young players need support, right? They need people to believe in them. And this, let me tell you what beliefs look like. If management is an agent and management have one opportunity to sit with Real Madrid throughout the course of the season, and Real Madrid says, Mannings, we need a midfielder. I don't want you to say, well, I have David as a midfielder and I have Cranky. And by the way, I have this kid named Andre. No, I want my name to be the first name you call. I want you to sell me. And that's what priority look like. Okay. And anytime you don't believe in players, it doesn't look like that. You have to believe in players when nothing is happening. I'll give you the story one day. Trust me.
Yeah, but that is my thing. Like, listen, no matter how much technical skill a coach may train them, all the other skills, the life skill, the emotional stability that you find the child with, the ability to mentally be strong to make decisions, were all developed by me. And I don't, so I cannot, at no point can you separate me from that process. And I'm saying this is so funny that many academies and agents, they operate these things with their own children, and then they want to get your child into these programs without you.
Yeah, without you.
It don't make any sense to me. It don't make any sense. It don't make any sense.
It's okay when, as I said just now, when Harlan and them dads involved, you don't hear anything about them. They're 100%. You know, they're supposed to be involved. You know, they get to make money. They get to do all of that. But we must turn our children over to what most times is a stranger. You understand? Yeah. Look, I'll say to anybody, and you, hopefully your kid get to play pro at one time. When you're a professional footballer, you're a business, right? You're in business for yourself, right? Because you make money as an individual, right? And when you in business for yourself, you need any business. If you have a business today, we talk about, I hate to mention, but we talk about the Football Federation needing a strategic plan. Okay? And if a professional footballer, an agent is not willing to sit down and create or accept a strategic plan for a player, then his intent is not good. Because I tell you what a strategic plan does. It highlights everything that's in the contract that the agent is responsible for that he isn't doing. You understand what I'm saying? So he does not want to see that. That must be in the contract, and it must be in a desk drawer somewhere.
Yeah. Andre at Drew Fortis is saying, can we get the story now, Andre? And then Zenat is saying they don't respect the involvement of black parents. You know, or maybe it's black kids, you know. Maybe it's not even color, maybe it's also class. Because if a child comes from the upper echelon of society, normally those parents are allowed to be involved.
They get access. They get access. They get treated with respect.
Yeah, especially if they're wealthy. I'm telling you, they get treated differently. Yeah, so that's part of it.
So, listen, that's a big part of it. And for the rest of us, sometimes we have to remain on the outside and just accept what they do with your child and just be happy to be there.
Okay. All right.
The story, you may have to wait on Netflix, viewers. And somebody asked just now about Joe Public. I don't think they're still around as a football club.
Oh, well, Joyce. I don't think Joyce is involved in anything public, right? No. Oh, this is funny. Joyce not really involved in anything public right now. The market needs imploration to update league in every way. Jamaica/Caribbean need to improve their league, and this will improve our players and all facets of football. Parents need to be, and listen, when I say parents must be involved, I don't want parents to be on the sideline telling the coach, yo, a time for my son, go on. Yo, I wrong position here, play me. No.
But so why do you do it if you don't want parents to do that? Why do you do it?
Me? No. No. I was asked by the coach.
The talk around tongue is that man's man is always on the coach's tail, telling him what to do. If the team is losing, man's man is frustrated. He's blaming the coach. That's the talk around tongue. I don't know.
I want to hear that coach come out publicly and say that.
Well, I didn't say the coach say no. I didn't say the coach say.
Yeah, right. But listen, we have to pick up on this tomorrow. But it's a very, very fruitful conversation. I mean, one of the other things that I know you and I we had a conversation about match fixing in the Caribbean. That was, I think, an article written by I think Brian Lewis, who is out of Trinidad. And when results are skewed for a particular benefit, is it match fixing? So if I play my weaker team to get 6 love so that I can play a particular team in the second versus fourth instead of playing the team coming third and playing the team finishing first, is that match fixing? Is that part of, and how must it be regulated? We're going to discuss it tomorrow. Just giving the people.
Right,
Go ahead.
But let me ask you a question. If you're driving along the streets and you lose your brakes, your brake become faulty, and you couldn't stop the car, and you hit somebody, and they unfortunately die. This is all hypothetical, of course, right? And they unfortunately die. Is that murder? Versus
that's not.
If you're driving down the streets and
that is not murder. That is not
right,
murder.
It's not murder. But if you see someone that frustrated you yesterday and you step on your gas and run over them, is that murder?
Yes.
Right. So it's all about intent, right? So you picking a weaker team to go play, right? It all depends on the intent. If somebody in another part of the world is going to make money off of that because you did that, right? And you're doing that knowing that somebody would make money and you would benefit from it, I think that would be considered match fixing. But if you picking a lesser team, because you have injuries, or you're picking a lesser team because you don't care about the outcome of this particular game, I don't think they could maybe accuse you for an unethical behavior, probably. I don't know. Because they expect you.
All I'm saying is that because unless people express their intentions, we don't know it.
No. Don't say that.
No, you don't. You don't know.
How do you if you play in a team?
All right. Think they got knocked out of the FA Cup by a team. I think it was Brentford that got knocked out of the FA Cup by a team, a lower level team. All right. These are things that normally happen. They played a weaker team. Then they came and they played against Liverpool, and it was in the latter stages that happened. All right. Is that, suppose somebody, having seen the 11, said Brentford is going to lose, and they placed a bet. You can't tell what the motive of Frank was. You don't know.
Say that again.
So Frank may have been saying that I have Liverpool. That could have been his motive. His motive could have been, I know somebody who is betting, who, if you play a weaker team, they're going to win the bet and make some money. But you don't know, because unless he tells you his motive, how are you going to find out?
How do they find out?
You have to go to court.
Hear what match fixing look like typically, right?
That is why we have to have the conversation. We have to have the
conversation within the team. Say it again.
We have to have a conversation tomorrow. We don't want to give the people too much information because we go close out.
You're probably saving me for myself too. So
be careful. Club playing the U16 in the Carabao Cup would be match fixing. We will discuss it tomorrow, DW. You understand me? I don't think that is what Andre is saying. He said but the motive could be, while it was not, it could be. If it was knowing that somebody's going to bet on this and thing. But listen, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for being a part of the show. Very good show. We will do the other 3 things that we had on it. All right. That we never got a chance to get into. All right. Thanks to Andre, Issa Allen.
Before I go, let me say this. 2 things. I know you have the connection. 1, it was mentioned earlier to have another showcase. What did Simon say? Simon called it something else. When I mentioned
the media, like a media symposium
or something like that. I would encourage you to get involved with whoever and set that up, so information gets shared in terms of how guys deal with these things. And I think also a regular symposium, similar thing, in trying to teach those young men how to deal with agents and how to deal with football clubs. and the importance of choosing a good agent and that kind of stuff. I think that's important. And those are two things that I think will help the league.
Awesome.
Sorry about that. All right. Talk to you later, okay?
All right, then. Yeah, man. Thanks
All
for
right,
coming
brother.
on as usual, my friend. All right. So people, listen, thanks to every single one of you. If you have not yet, before you leave, please hit the like button. It was so good seeing the one and only Fresh indeed. Fresh God was in the building. Big up yourself. All right. Listen, people, bless up on yourself, Bless up on yourself, everyone, one and all. Big up on yourself, Good show, good time. Enjoy my time with you. Big up. Rudolph Speed in the comment section, and leader, big up yourself, Doing some good job as a scout, but leader, you forget some beating sometime, Me tell you, stay out of the conversation. Big up yourself. All the moderators, big up, You understand me? Yeah, man. All the persons who called in, bless up on yourself. Better, all McDonald. You will change your name from Travis Spencer to Old McDonald, man. You understand me? Big up yourself. Bless up one and all. Listen, I am management. This has been I Am Sure Sports. Listen, me have big up my brethren Presser, because Presser is working with me with making some changes to the background and thing. Him kind of gifted in another way there, I beat him sometime, but I'm local brethren, You see me? I say, big up Presser. All right, so people, I am management. This has been I Am Sure Sports. You know how it is when it comes to the end of the show. We are over. We are OUT out of here.
Yo, watch about dog, SK New heard this. The body out there, Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, you cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocho-Rios, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like? Ha, yeah. Someone on for the food from we young, from we day, you need height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.